Breaking tonight on First Alert Weather Extra. It's officially the hottest day of the summer season, and we got some temperatures out there today nearing record levels. We're on your side, letting you know just how long it's going to last.
And Wes, new tonight on First Alert Weather Extra, we're getting updates on the Alabama first responders helping with recovery in central Texas. That area just devastated by flooding.
And Matt Daniel is on your side tonight with your beach forecast and a threat for rip currents this week in the Gulf. What you need to know to stay safe.
Live on your side, First Alert Weather Extra starts with breaking news.
Well, that breaking news, it's the hottest day of the year so far, Tania, and that's why we have declared First Alert weather days for dangerous heat. Tuscaloosa reached 97 today, certainly the hottest day for Tuscaloosa. Montgomery, 98 degrees, and yesterday it was 96 in Birmingham, so this is a stretch of some of the hottest weather.
I know, and then you look to next week and you're like, oh, not getting any better.
Listen, that's one of the next big things we're going to be talking about here coming up. We have called First Alert weather days for next week. It looks like into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week for heat index levels could approach 110 degrees. But we've had a little bit of rain out there today, and want to show you some images that are now rolling in from the First Alert weather app. You're sharing these with us. Ooh. And this comes from Michael Johnson, and this was at the Honda plant. This was over in the Lincoln area, Tania, and that's obviously a nice little shelf cloud there. That's from the rain-cooled air interacting with this extremely hot, humid weather that we have. And we also have Marco Williams sharing this photo from another shelf cloud from some of these storms that are popping up. And I guess, you know, Tania, we've had some strong storms, but where you get rain today, that's more of a benefit, right? Oh, yeah. Yeah, really help out with those temperatures. But hey, next week, this is some more breaking news. Your First Alert weather team, we've called First Alert weather days next week, Monday through Wednesday of next week. Could we go even hotter on the temperatures? It is possible. We've been pouring through the data here, and it looks like we could see heat index levels as high as 110 in some areas Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. So that's one of the next big things I want to let you know right off here. So let's talk about where we're at temperature-wise right now. Well, we're at 95 in Tuscaloosa, a nice cool 76 at Center. Check that out. 87 at Gaston, 81 at Pell City. But it's amazing, isn't it, when you look at just what kind of impact these little storms pop up and how they really bring down those temperatures. But Clanton, that temperature, hopefully when it updates, it's a little bit cooler because we have had some storms in that area. But this is heat index right now. West Alabama, if you're west of Interstate 65, I just can't promise a lot of rain this evening. I think the greatest chance, as we talked about yesterday, along and east of 65, it seems like that's really holding there as far as where we're seeing the pop-ups. But there's some storms right now happening. Let's take you into Ohatchee, and it looks like some development now towards Coldwater Mountain and areas to the south. Alexandria, this is south of you. We've been seeing rain staying just off to the west of us. Montgomery, intense storm out here crossing the Alabama River, but these storms were lined up at one point from Clinton all the way to Montgomery, so that entire stretch of I-65 was just covered in pouring rain. And folks there, I know it was a rough stretch there to drive through, but look at the lightning, over 390 lightning strikes with these storms. This one around Clanton is dropping south towards Enterprise. It has weakened some, but that one's moving to the south. And there's some more storms popping around Lake Guntersville, far northern Etowah County, so we still could see some development here across our northeastern areas. But again, more dangerous heat tomorrow. One of the next big things we're tracking. We've got afternoon storms in the forecast mix coming up again tomorrow. I think West Alabama will have a slightly greater chance of seeing some of those pop-ups later in the day tomorrow. And we do have First Alert weather days for heat coming up next Monday again through next Wednesday. So right now I want to send it back over to Tania for an update on this heat and safety. Tania, this heat can sneak up on you.
Oh yes, Wes, a WBRC safety check from the National Weather Service Birmingham on how quickly your car can heat up in this weather. Never, ever, ever leave people or pets inside those cars. It only takes a few minutes for temperatures to rise quickly. Experts reminding you, always check the back seat, put something back there that you'll need to grab, and some new cars will turn off after the car is idle for a certain amount of time. Never assume you have time to make a quick trip into a store. And here's a safety alert we don't talk about often. Make sure little hands can't open cars either. Some children can get in cars by opening doors or trunks, but they can't get back out. Keep doors locked whenever everyone is out. And another WBRC safety check from a UAB emergency room doctor on ways to keep yourself from getting sick in this heat. Dr. Andrew Edwards telling us the most common illnesses in Alabama are heat cramps and heat rashes. Those aren't very severe, but he says things can escalate quickly if you don't stay hydrated. Edward also says avoid drinking alcohol in the heat.
Using alcohol during heat is dangerous. And while I have told many people in the emergency department not to drink during the heat, most people do it anyway. So just making sure that people are aware that alcohol acts as a diuretic, so it will make you dehydrated. It also impairs your decision-making capacity so that people don't make good decisions. And then it also affects the hypothalamus, which controls your body's ability to regulate temperature. So 3 good reasons to avoid it. But given that people are going to drink alcohol anyway, would encourage them to take an electrolyte containing fluid and drink that as well. So moderate the alcohol and drink plenty of other things that would make you hydrated, and it should help you steer clear of the emergency department.
And when it comes to hydration, Dr. Edwards also says during extreme heat, it's good for women to drink 3 liters of water every day and for men to drink 4 liters of water. And new tonight on WBRC First Alert Weather Extra, Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt has a look at wicked weather across the United States.
Yeah, a lot of wicked weather, Tania, happening across the country. We know we're feeling the heat here at home, but now a look at how other parts of the country will be dealing with the extreme temperatures. More than a week after the deadly flooding that plunged parts of the Northeast underwater, the region is now bracing for also an intense wave of extremely hot weather. State and local officials from Nebraska to Florida urging people to take precautions as that high pressure upper air ridge is expected to trap a lot of this hot weather across the country and also limit rain chances.
Can potentially go out earlier in the morning as opposed to the heat of the afternoon. The hottest hour tends to be 4 p.m. And just really trying to make sure you're wearing, light, loose clothing.
In parts of the Midwest, a real feel or the feels-like temperature, as you hear us talk about often, they could be closer to 110 to 115 degrees. And new video tonight on First Alert Weather Extra. A woman is rescued after she got caught in flash flooding in Kansas City, Missouri. The woman was clinging to a tree after she got caught in the floodwaters on Monday. And rescue crews had an inflatable boat and they were able to reach the woman and safely bring her back to dry land. Thankfully, she is safe. And an update tonight on that tragedy in Central Texas. Flooding. There are now more than 130 people that died in that flood. In Kerr County, officials are looking towards next steps in the ongoing search and rescue and recovery efforts. Here's Lee Waltman.
Search efforts are continuing in the Texas Hill Country following the deadly July 4th flood. In hard-hit Kerr County, where at least 107 people have died, officials have revised the number of people still missing from 97 to 3 Saturday. A drastic decrease comes after many of the people initially reported missing were found safely, according to a release from the city of Kerrville.
We are coming to the near completion of the search and rescue phase. That's phase 1. Then we get to the recovery stage. And where we are, folks, is we're getting ready to start the recovery stage.
In a special commissioners court meeting, Kerr County engineer Charlie Hastings told commissioners the conditions made survival nearly impossible in some areas.
Our model is showing heights of 40 feet, and we already know from talking to people 55 feet on some parts of the river. You can't live through that. Yep. It was a tsunami. It was an inland tsunami.
While local officials work to address concerns, Governor Greg Abbott has called a special session for the Texas legislature to address items like improving early warning systems for flood-prone areas, providing relief funding, and strengthening emergency communications.
In an update tonight on the 2 Alabama first responding crews working in Texas to help people recover. The Alabama Task Force, one which includes firefighters from Tuscaloosa, joining forces with a National Guard unit in Kerrville to conduct operations along the Guadalupe River. The team executed water rescues and operations there to clear a significant strainer in the river. And an update on the Alabama Task Force that includes Hoover, Vestavia Hills, and Mountain Brook first responders. The team has been working diligently in an area on the Guadalupe, conducting thorough searches with K-9 teams. We're told these efforts will continue over the next several days.
And new tonight, we're showing you that the Earth is spinning a little faster this summer. What could that mean when it comes to computers? We'll let you know right back here after the break.
All right, it's time for a check on the tropics here on Weather Extra, and we've been watching another disturbance very similar to last week. It's making a track there. You can see along the Gulf Coast across the northern Gulf all the way through Thursday and Friday. So as this swings by next couple of days, we'll see a big increase in scattered storms along the coast. The chance of this developing is very, very low. Again, it's dealing with that land interaction, but this is rounding the base of that high pressure ridge. But notice by Friday how the wind flow is more out of the east to southeast all across the state of Alabama. So you've got an easterly flow, you've got more clouds, more scattered showers. That's why we backed off those temperatures just a bit towards the end of the week. Now, it's still going to be hot, but that's going to have an impact on those temperatures. However, by the weekend, that system is going to be well west, but there will be a chance for rain and storms. And notice by Friday how some of that tropical moisture can move in from the south again. So that's why we have increased up to 60% our chance for scattered showers and storms. I still think Friday we're going to have a pretty good chance around here. But look at the coast. If you're traveling Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, higher rain chances, not a total washout, but as we all often say, right, a day at the beach, even if it's raining, it's still a good day, right? So if you're traveling, just be safe out there.
100%, Wes. You're exactly right. Well, new tonight on First Alert Weather Extra, scientists say the Earth is spinning a little faster this summer, and that's making some days a little shorter. The days may be shorter, but you won't even notice. Scientists say today and Tuesday, August 5th, will be shorter by more than 1 millisecond. So small. The reasons for this include the moon's gravitational pull and influence of the Earth's liquid core. The discrepancy doesn't have any obvious effect on everyday life, though. However, experts say the discrepancies can, in the long run, affect computers, satellites, and telecommunications. And new on First Alert Weather Extra, NASA announcing a new U.S.-India satellite that will monitor the planet's land and ice surfaces like never before. The NISAR satellite will help scientists gather data that will map changes to Earth's surface, helping improve crop management, natural hazard monitoring, and tracking of sea ice and glaciers. This is the first joint satellite mission between NASA and the Indian Space Research Organization. A possible threat for rip currents in the Gulf this week. You're Matt Daniel on your side with how to protect yourself and your family.
All right, well, you know, here at the Big Six, we take you above the clouds as well. We have our own chief pilot, J.P. Dice, and he sent us in this lovely view there going into Pell City, and that is a shelf cloud and basically some outflow from all that rain-cooled air that was moving in, and I'm sure J.P. waited for all that turbulent air to move on by. That was just before he landed. He said he shared that with me a few moments ago, but we've seen some storms out there, and again, that's St. Clair County. We've seen some storms down into Chilton County, and those are now weakening. Not seeing a lot across west Alabama, but east Alabama, notice we're in the 80s right now, so the pop-up storms have had an impact, but this is basically what's going on here. We've got the high-pressure ridge, the heat dome, as we often say. Along the outer edge of that, the atmosphere is allowing for some of these pop-up storms. That high pressure is not as strong enough to keep those away, so you can see they're developing and they're drifting south. So that's why I want to show you this, moving north to south. But when you look at the map here and you see just how small these storms are, look at the lightning count, almost 500 lightning strikes over the past 15 minutes. These little cells, when it's hot like this, they produce a lot of lightning. But right now, at least the one around Ohatchee has weakened some, but we're starting to see some rain now. Let me just move the radar a bit so folks here around Morrisville can see. Those storms are now, they're drifting on to the south. Check it out, around Coldwater Mountain there. Got some lightning. If you're around Ritchietown, Silver Run, Alabama Highway 21, in those areas, a first alert. If this holds together, watch out Munford. We might get a little bit of rain if this can hold together. And also you can see around Enterprise, some rain moving south. And what's happening in here, notice this little line that's developed. That's a boundary from where the rain has fallen and cooled things off. It's kind of like a mini front. So as this moves out towards Maplesville, at the least, you should get a nice cool breeze out of this as that moves in from the east direction. May set off an additional storm. Now we have a cell around Reese City, Nakalula Falls to Gadsden. Watch out there. First alert for possibility of a storm, and also Sneed, northern Blount County, tracking some storms moving south. But this all settles down tonight. The thing tomorrow, I think we'll see more of these little pop-ups further west, but in the morning, another hot start to the day. I mean, we really don't get much relief temperature-wise. Overnight lows in the upper 70s, and then we're back into the mid-90s. You can see those pop-ups. There's 6 o'clock tomorrow, again developing back further into west Alabama later in the day. Wind out of the east at 5 to 10 miles per hour. The heat index, it doesn't back off a great deal. I mean, we're still talking 102, 103, but we're going to reach some of those extremes next week. That's why that ridge builds in again, and Monday and Tuesday a chance we could squeeze out a couple days there with the heat index approaching 110 in more areas. So again, first alert weather days next week. Also, notice we have the rain chance in here. Eventually, as that heat builds Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday, eventually the bubble pops, and we're going to see a good chance for some of those afternoon storms. So we'll be watching for some of those during the afternoon hours early next week. But we're certainly the summer sizzle mode. It is on out there. I mean, we are in that time of the year, and just as the heat, it sort of fluctuates some, not a lot. I mean, we're talking some low 90s. It cranks back up in a big way early next week. So just plan accordingly for some more very steamy conditions. But right now, there are, down along the coast, I was telling you about that tropical disturbance. There are some hazard flags that are flying at Gulf shores, one yellow and one purple. Your Matt Daniel takes a look at your beach forecast, and he has a warning on the rip current threat for this week.
Well, we've been talking about increasing rain chances, especially along the Gulf Coast as we go towards the end of the week. So if you got beach plans, I know school's not far away from now and want to take that last minute beach vacation, don't let the rain and storms slow you down. Still looking at some scattered showers Wednesday, and especially Thursday and Friday. May cool things off a bit in the upper 80s. But we're not talking about a hurricane or a tropical storm. We're just watching an area of low pressure, very disorganized, bringing in some showers. So notice we'll have some rain chances Wednesday along the Gulf Coast. By Thursday, more scattered activity. It isn't going to rain the entire time. And then as we go towards about 4 o'clock, more of that tropical moisture spreading northwards from the Gulf, bringing in some showers and some thunderstorms. And that rain chance will likely continue as we go into the weekend. How much rain could we see? Well, maybe a couple of inches of rain possible. Could there be an isolated flood threat? you can never rule that out when you get those tropical downpours, but we'll be keeping a close eye along the Alabama Gulf Coast and the Florida Panhandle as we go into the next several days. With the rain and the wind and that area of low pressure, we have to give you that first alert for the rip current threat increasing. Won't be bad Wednesday, but it's going to be moderate Thursday and a high rip current threat as we go into Friday and beyond. And it's very important to note with rip currents when it comes to fatalities along the Alabama-Florida Panhandle, we're looking at most of the deaths happen from rip currents. So you could be a great swimmer, but if you go swim against that rip current, you're not going to win most likely. So a rip current is just a strong current of water moving away from the shore, so it just kind of pulls you out to the open waters, and it can be pretty terrifying. You just got to calm down, don't fight it, and kind of go parallel along the coast, and then you can get out of that rip current threat. So if you get caught, make sure your first thing is hard to do, I understand, but relax, don't swim against that current, swim out of that current parallel to the coast, and if you can't escape, just float or tread water, and maybe that rip current threat can come to an end. So just be mindful of that. But yeah, a little unsettled along the Gulf Coast, but don't cancel those vacation plans.
Oh, thanks, Matt. You're making me want to go to the beach. I know the weather won't be a 10 out of 10, but hey, a nice seat along the ocean front in the sand. Okay, let me not talk too much about it. I'm gonna make all you guys reminisce your vacations, all right? Let's talk about what's happening beyond the 7-day as we look across the nation. We're not the only ones battling the heat, unfortunately. So no matter where you go across the U.S., you're likely going to be dealing with above average temperatures. This is our outlook showing July 28th through August 1st, including us here across central Alabama with more above average heat expected. As we look at our precipitation outlook for July 28th through August 1st, it looks like some portions of the U.S., like the Pacific Northwest, dealing with above average rainfall. Some areas near Nevada, not really anything they're not used to, below average rainfall. But for us here across the southeast, looks like along the coast with that other low pressure system building in, gonna still be in that above average rainfall range, whereas we are across central Alabama right near average, where we typically are this time of the year. Does that mean it'll be dry? No. We're still seeing some wet weather as we approach the end of the month and the first day of August. Let's walk through it here. We bring in July the 28th. Doesn't look too bad. That's next Monday. A few showers, maybe an isolated storm could be possible. Looks like we'll see a little bit more active weather around by next Tuesday and Wednesday time frame. Just scattered showers and thunderstorms, mainly in the afternoon and evening hours. This is Wednesday night, showing 10 o'clock, and a few showers around even through next Thursday. And it looks like August 1st doesn't look too shabby. That's next Friday. Maybe a few showers, mainly further south of central Alabama, but we'll continue to give you updates on that beyond the 7-day forecast Monday through Friday on First Alert Weather Extra. We'll be back with more First Alert Weather Extra and a look at your wonderful, lovely photos that you sent into the First Alert Weather app coming up in just a bit after the break. All righty, Wes, you know what time it is. It's time to show off those photos. This stunning picture of a sunset, Wes, off of Logan Martin Lake, sent in by Sandy Lollies.
Well, Sandy, all right, time to frame that one, okay? Kaylee sharing this lovely picture with us from Lake Mitchell. She says this, a nice sunrise helped her start the day off just right. It help anybody start the day off just right, especially right there on the water.
Honestly.
And how about this beautiful rainbow captured over Lake Mitchell? Delsette says that it was a bright sunny afternoon when she took that picture, but had a little rain evidently there in the mix somewhere.
Oh yeah, and this one was from Childersburg, a unique cloud. This is such a beautiful picture, even the colors too. Gail Hernandez sent this one in this morning, and of course we'd love to see your pictures too, so you can send them in to us on the First Alert Weather app.
Yeah, send those in. We've been seeing a lot of pictures coming in from some pop-up storms out there, Tania.
Oh yeah.
A little rain, but we got another First Alert Weather Day stretch coming up next week. Some more heat extremes. We'll break it all down for you tonight, first at 9.